The opinions expressed in this show are the views of the host and not necessarily that of WTRW, 94.3 The Talker, or the Bold Gold Media Group.
The following presentation is paid for by Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate, who is solely responsible for its content. Portions transcribed.
All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
This is the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Good morning. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with Pat Devaney, my husband, fellow realtor. Good morning.
Good morning, Jackie. How are you today?
Very good. How are you?
We're doing well.
We have with us, again, Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m., where we talk real estate. We have a full-time real estate office with many exceptional realtors who have been advising, guiding, and assisting clients in real estate matters for over 50 years.
During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com, or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you go to jruddy.com, click on the webcam tab and see what's going on at Dunmore Corners. No snow. No snow yet.
Thankfully, if you are listening, search the MLS listings and listen to archive radio shows by going to mobile-friendly JRUDDY.com, jruddy.com, and look us up on social media. We're pretty much everywhere. And don't forget, we are a Quality Service Award-winning office, and that's the coveted Century 21 award that we repeatedly receive year after year. So I like to always mention that. What is your home worth? We need listings, so give us a call or send us an email. Visit jruddy.com to contact us. We'd love to come out and talk to you about selling your home. We do need homes to sell. The inventory has been rather low all year long. Okay, I also like to say hello to Bob Edwards. Bob called me at the office this past week to say hello, loves our radio show, and Bob, we thank you for listening, and keep tuning us in. Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry, tell me about you. How long have you been doing this? What do you do? Where do you go?
43 years in the business. And travel in the, Lackawanna County. I am rather limited to the range I travel these days, just because I've gotten along now, 66 years old, and it's no longer necessary to travel too far. I do a highly specialized form of masonry in that I do mainly restoration work, but I do also new installation as well, sidewalks and brick paver patios, flagstone, some carpentry, and basically anything masonry related, stone, stucco, concrete, brick, block.
Okay. Let's talk about sidewalks.
Sidewalks?
Yes.
You walk all over?
Last week we talked about retaining walls, fireplaces. This week I'd like to talk about sidewalks.
Okay. Sidewalks, concrete in our area has changed somewhat over the years. The product that the old masons used 40, 50 years ago and so forth, for some reason, seemed to have been more durable than the product we have today. How the formulation of concrete has changed, what's in the concrete that's made it less durable to our winters. Our winters are severe here. You go up into Maine and further north, they don't get as many frost and thaw cycles as we do here. They get one or two. We get 5 or 6. And that movement is detrimental to the concrete. The other thing is how it's being put in place, and has it been sealed, and what mixture did the contractor or the homeowner use? Did they add too much water to the mix? Not enough water to the mix? There are so many things that could cause concrete to fail. But I think a lot of it has to do with the ice melting products. Everybody wants to get the ice off the sidewalk as soon as possible. The worst thing you could put on it is rock salt. And it's not what people think. They think that the ice is, or the rock salt is burning into the concrete and causing it to pop. That's really not the case. It's creating a heat. It's like when you put an ice cube into a glass of water and you hear it fracture. So the stronger the ice melting product you use, the greater the heat. Or the greater the heat that you apply onto the cold concrete, the better chance it's going to fracture it. I mean, once that surface fractures, now creates a cup that the water could set in and freeze and get underneath that wear surface and cause more damage. And so every year the sidewalk looks worse and worse and worse. There are sealers that could be applied. I'm in the process of or in the habit, I should say, of always applying a sealer immediately after the concrete is poured.
Immediately after, because we've been told we got to wait.
Yeah. Well, there's different types of sealers.
There are different products.
There's different products.
Aha.
There are different products. If I'm doing a sidewalk, I seal it immediately.
Okay.
And there's a special sealer that you use to put on it immediately. It's not like Thompson's water seal. It's
and there's nothing against Thompson, but there's solvent-based sealers and there's water-based sealers. It's a matter of preference. But they don't last indefinitely.
Right.
So you want to reseal like at least every 2 years.
Right. Speaking of, you just reminded me.
Oh, Tony, thank you. Thank you, Tony. Because
I'm thinking about our patio.
guess who's got to go home and do some sealing now?
When's the last? Seriously, when's the last time that was sealed?
Last year.
No, it wasn't.
It's been a couple of years.
Yes, it has.
And what's the best way to apply these sealers? Is it spray on?
A pump sprayer.
Pump sprayer?
You could buy a cheap pump sprayer for $25, $30 and, put your sealer in there. And the main thing is to pump the sprayer up to get as much pressure as possible so that you create a fog-like spray quality so that you don't wind up with puddles. You want it to be a uniform covering. And apply 2 coats. Make sure your surface is clean, of course. If it's a new concrete surface, you don't have to worry about that. If it's an old concrete surface, you might want to power wash it first to make sure you've gotten off any kind of residue from the road or so forth. And then seal it. Put 2 coats on it, and you're good for another couple of years.
Now, when you're spraying it, don't you have to worry about splashing like the siding on the house?
Yeah, well, you might want to, put some cardboard against your siding, your shrubs, so you don't damage them.
Right.
And, that'll suffice. The other thing is if you see any open joints, it's probably not a bad idea to caulk those joints with a self-leveling concrete caulk so that you don't have water penetration that will freeze under the surface of your concrete sidewalk and lift them and crack them.
We live on a block, and in 2008, they did 3 sidewalks. They did mine, they did my neighbor's, and then I have a family member who lives 3 doors down. I have never, I shouldn't say this, but I have never put salt on our sidewalk. My sidewalk is nice and smooth. The guy next door used salt on his. His is skinned. It was applied at the same time, and it's, like you said, it's got like little potholes and everything.
It looks like somebody took a BB gun. And
it took a hammer and went down and like banged his whole sidewalk. And then down the next one is the family member, and they use salt just once or twice. So there's a few little spots where it's apparent where the salt was. But mine, I make it a point that I do not use rock salt. I will put sand down on mine or something else to give it some grit so you don't kill yourself on it, but I will not use salt.
That wear surface that is what fractures. Basically, the body of the concrete stays intact. But that wear surface is only 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch in thickness. Underneath that is your aggregates. So once you fracture that, your stone shows through, and that the concrete becomes porous and more susceptible to damage. So, again, seal it. Naturally, the first thing is how it's being installed, but afterwards, to protect it, seal it.
And then seal it every 2 years.
I would say. Everybody has a different opinion on it.
All right. Now, so our front sidewalk is concrete. The sidewalk that leads to our front porch is stamped concrete. And then it, has a little pathway on either side of it along where our shrubs are in the front of the house. And that's all stamped concrete as well. So the postal carrier who delivers our mail, because we don't use salt.
Right.
So he got salt on his boots, and he walks over the stamped concrete to get to our front porch from our driveway, and there's holes in our stamped concrete, and it enrages me because I look at it and we purposely do not use that rock salt, and here we are, and it looks terrible. Is there anything I can do about that?
And that's the downfall of the stamped concrete is that it is difficult to repair, basically because there's coloring in it.
Right.
And so to match that color, you can't match the color of concrete when there isn't coloring added to it, just because of age and different conditions and so forth.
But it looks so nice
when
it wasn't walked on.
Right. And there are certain things that you just can't prevent. You're going to have salt that is brought on the tires of your car into your driveway.
Right, because the driveway is asphalt. I don't care about the driveway.
And if you can do it yourself. If you walk outside and you walk down to the road after they had just put down that brine, which is even worse, and or salt, if you're in a high traffic area where PennDOT is taking care of the road, they're hammering that road, and so you're going to traffic it into. But the repair is difficult, especially on the stamped concrete.
I knew you were going to say that, but I was hoping you wouldn't. And so with us today is Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
They can call me on my cell phone, 570-840-5248. Or they can email me at amicomasonry@comcast.net. I would advise anyone that is trying to get in touch with me that I'm limited as to how much work I can produce these days. I work basically alone now, and I'm very selective.
And you're launching a consulting service, correct?
I am indeed. There are many homeowners out there who are capable, but not knowledgeable. And so I'm providing a service to them where I will come out for an hourly rate and I will coach them on their project. Maybe they want to resurface their foundation, or they want to put in a brick paver patio, or they want to pour a sidewalk or a driveway. I'll estimate their material costs. I'll show them how to go about the whole process. I'll coach them every step of the way as much as they may need me for.
Very good.
So you're going to be the boss.
No, they'll be the boss. I'll just be the professor on the job site.
And you'll widen the range of where you go then.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because now, like I said in the earlier broadcast, I'm kind of spoiled. I have a lot of, I have a good customer base that's local. But I think that because I want to launch this business of consulting, I have to be more receptive to travel. And I am.
Okay. Very good. At this point, we'd like to acknowledge and thank our sponsor for their invaluable contribution to our radio show. That's Green Man Exterminator. Are you tired of traditional pest control methods that harm the environment? It's time to make a greener choice. Introducing Green Man Exterminator, your eco-friendly solution for pest management. Green Man Exterminator believes in protecting both your home and the environment. They specialize in environmentally conscious pest control solutions that are safe for your family and your pets. Say goodbye to harsh chemicals and hello to natural organic treatments to effectively eliminate pests. Green Man Exterminator has received the Angie's List Super Service Award for 10 continuous years. They have the best reputation in the pest control world. Don't settle for harmful pesticides. Choose Green Man Exterminators for a safer, greener solution. Visit greenmanexterminator.com or call 570-851-4863 to schedule your affordable and environmentally friendly pest control service today. Green Man Exterminators, protecting your home and the planet one pest at a time.
Yes. John Smith came to our house and took care of our wasp problem. John is very good. I really like the work he does.
And we're not poisoning ourselves.
Right.
That's the main thing.
Right. And he's really into it, and he knows his stuff. He's very educated. He's good. He's very good.
I feel like he's going to eradicate the problem.
Yes, he will.
All right. Thank you. Pat?
Yes, that's me. Have you ever dreamed of opening... Here we go, DC, I'm talking to our producer. Have you ever dreamed of opening your own microbrewery? How about that? Coffee shop or a deli? This could be what you're looking for at 1344 North Washington Avenue in Scranton for $159,000. The zoning variance was approved in October 2019 for a microbrewery. There's parking in the rear for 6 to 8 cars, a grassy area for tables and picnic benches. This is a high-traffic area on a main street in Scranton. Also, the second floor is currently rented out to a long-term tenant, and there's an additional bathroom in the basement. That's a 2-story commercial building at 1344 North Washington Avenue in Scranton for $159,000, and that's listed by Gail Lewis of our office.
Thank you, Pat. The average home buyer put down how much as a down payment? What do you think?
10%.
In January. $42,375. I was looking for an actual number from you, Pat.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay,
That's
marking
exactly.
the lowest amount in close to 2 years. The lowest amount.
This is national numbers.
Yes.
Okay.
According to Redfin, this is 35% lower than the average down payment during the high of the housing market. The high of the housing market was in June of 2022. But it's still 30% higher than levels pre-pandemic. So people are putting more down.
Okay.
As it relates to the pandemic, right? But less than where we were in June 2022. However, this is the third consecutive month of the average down payment dropping. The median down payment in January 2023 represented 10%
See, I knew
of
that.
the home's price, down from 13.6% in January 2022. Interesting info,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. We'll be right back. In your past real estate experiences, did you find most agents were mediocre? At Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate, we defy mediocrity by being relentless. Don't settle for average. Contact the Relentless at Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate. We have an excellent track record of serving the community for 50 plus years. Call 570-344-6724 or visit jruddy.com. That's jruddy.com. You're rejoining the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with Pat Devaney, my husband, fellow realtor.
We're back with a very interesting topic.
Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. We were talking about sidewalks the first half of the show. And can you provide us, and we talked about the maintenance and sealing it and the importance of that. Can you provide us with any tips or advice on how to properly care for and preserve any masonry work, whatever we have out there? Fireplaces, sidewalks, patios, retaining walls. Are there things that people should be doing and to help the longevity?
Well, I mean, as far as the fireplaces go, there's a safety factor involved. You know, to make sure whether you have a wood-burning fireplace or not, you want to make sure your flue is always clear. You do want to do a periodic inspection from time to time at the roof level to see if there's any water infiltration, if there's any damage to the masonry. And if it's brick, does it need to be repointed? If the cap is cracked, should it be replaced or sealed? Is there a covering on it? The other thing is, too, with fireplaces, you have the issues of bats and birds that can fly down your chimney when it's not being used and come into your home. So they have screens that go on the top of your fireplaces to prevent that. You may want to look into that, especially if you're in an area where you're next to woodland and so forth.
All right, that makes me think of chimneys.
Chimneys.
I saw, I don't know how to say this, but I know a person who had a new roof put on their house, and the chimney was just in pieces, literally in pieces. And the roofer came in and he put the new roof on, boom, boom, 2 days, in and out, rip it off. And instead of repairing the chimney, what they did was they just put big pieces of aluminum over it, I guess to seal it out, and they just moved on. So what do you have to say about that?
I feel as though the chimneys and the roof, that project should be tackled at the same time.
Probably.
But a lot of roofers don't know what you know.
But the homeowner knows when he's hiring a roofing contractor, he should know, or she should know, to ask the roofer, how are you going to address the chimney? Do you have a mason? Right. Or are you capable of addressing the chimney? Because it should be done at the same time.
I would agree. I'm going to tell you on most home inspection reports, what is the one thing that continuously comes up? And a lot of times there's a new roof.
The chimney. The chimney needs to be repointed, and it's leaking around the chimney.
Repointed, no, but the one thing that continuously comes up more so than repointing is flashing is
around
needed.
The chimney, because you'll be up in the attic.
And I always thought a roofer should take care of that.
You would think so. Yeah, flashing to me should be done at the same time that the shingles are being applied.
And you're looking through from...
Right, I go up into the attic. The easier way is just go next to the chimney and look straight up and see if you can see any sunlight on the way out.
Absolutely.
That's a real quick and easy way to do it.
Yeah.
But it's a skill, and to coordinate to get the mason up on the roof, it's a big deal. And it's a lot of work, because a lot of these chimneys are just falling apart.
Sometimes it only requires some caulking. A little bit of an opening could be sealed.
Right.
But most times, because chimneys are something that nobody looks at unless they're up there doing the roof, and it goes several years without being maintained.
Several years, about 50 years.
There's damage,
yeah.
Just from the weather, there's damage, and it should be addressed at the same time as any roof. The other thing is the foundations. You being in the real estate business, you know that there's problems with foundations, cracks, so on and so forth, the parging falling off, stucco, whatever it may be. A lot of times it has to do with the fact that the roof didn't have gutters put on, or they weren't installed properly, and the downspouts are directed at the foundation. It's not taking the water away from the foundation. Now you have water that's freezing there and lifting up sidewalks, breaking the parging. Now your foundation has to be repaired.
Well, not to mention it's an entry point for critters and pests. The bugs and squirrels and chipmunks and mice, all the things that you want outside, not inside.
Bats.
And bats.
Oh, bats.
Bats. No comment on that. Okay. Let's talk about how masonry can enhance energy efficiency and insulation in buildings. That's something that, a house stays cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter, right?
I agree.
And less...
I think it's quieter.
And quieter, yeah.
Anything that isolates you from the noise outside, the thicker it is, there's not much that's thicker than stone or brick that could be applied to the outside of a house. Along with having new windows. The room that I just did in my home, I try to make it as soundproof as possible. We live on a main thoroughfare. And so I put triple pane glass in the windows, soundproof the walls, and the exterior is all masonry, brick and stone. And it does cut down on the road traffic noise, no question. But everything should be sealed properly, and also you have to watch that you don't overseal. Some portions of the house need to breathe, or you create a mildew issue, or too much insulation sometimes is not good.
True.
Like when they say they're doing the roofs and I see the guys doing the spray foam, they got to leave a little bit for ventilation to get that moisture out.
Mm-hmm. Now, you can't seal it up completely, but you do want to make it efficient. You don't want to lose heat.
Right.
Sealing from the outside and sealing from the inside is two different issues, in my opinion. Keeping the heat in is important, but you do need some ventilation.
Okay, so say I have a brick house and I have a brick exterior, and some of the mortar is coming out from between the joints. How could a homeowner fix that? Is there any way? Is there special
all
mixes?
you have to do is call me. I'll come out and show them.
No, but I mean, what's the procedure? How would you do that?
Well, I mean, if the mortar joints are loose, you want to cut them out. You want to get back to where the brick itself is sound. If there are any loose brick, of course, they have to be reset. But if you could open those joints up so that they could be repointed.
How do you open it up? Do you use a chisel? Do you use a grinder?
You're going to use either a 4-inch grinder, or you're going to use a chisel, or a rotary hammer. If it's not that big of a project, a small chisel and a hammer, delicately. You don't want to crack the brick, and you don't want to break a brick loose or a stone. You just want to concentrate on the joint. Once that's cleaned out, and you clean it out well, blow it out, sometimes wash it out with a hose, and then when it's come time to repointing, you want the surface to be slightly damp. So I usually take a spray bottle with a little bit of water, dampen that, and then take my mortar, whatever product I'm using, and point it in with your trowel and what I call a slicker or a tuck pointing trowel.
That's a little skinny little. We're familiar with all of these because we had boxes of them.
Yeah,
that skinny little trowel that goes in between the bricks that you jam it in there.
Clean your joints off when you're done. Brush them, and again, a coat of sealer won't hurt.
On the brick?
Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that. You seal the brick.
You can seal brick.
I'm thinking about a brick pathway that leads to a home a family member has. Every brick is uneven.
Yeah, but it's a walkway, yeah.
And it's a walkway, and then there's gaps where that mortar's supposed to be. Like, what do? You have to take the whole thing out and then level the earth and then re-put it back in?
There's two procedures that are used commonly for brick pavers. Sometimes they set them in a stone base, which gravel and stone dust, sometimes on top of a concrete surface. I prefer a concrete surface. Nothing could be flatter than that. You start out like you're putting in a regular concrete sidewalk, excavation, gravel, tamping, concrete base, and now you install your pavers. They could be mortared on, they could be glued on, but they're on top of a concrete surface. Now, when they move together. There's not one brick popping here and one over there. When you do brick pavers on a stone surface, depending on the area, you have to make sure you have proper drainage. The water pools in that area and freezes in the winter, you're going to have this uneven heaving taking place. And then again, once that happens, they never quite go back where they were, and now you have maintenance involved. And typically that maintenance involves tearing them back out, at least some of them, and resetting them.
It was repaired probably, 15, 20 years ago, and it's never been the same. I don't think the repair...
I don't think it was done right.
It wasn't done correctly. I mean, it looked fine for like a month. But then, the weather, the elements, everything else, and it's wreaked havoc, and it doesn't...
Yeah. And the tamping is important. We use a power tamper. So if you set the bricks down and you're just tapping them with a hammer, well, they're not really set. We put a tamper on there. You're knocking them down as hard into the ground as possible, and you will get a little more out of it. And then the type of product you use to dust in your joints. They have polymer products now that set really well. You brush them into the joints and then you hose them down, and they will hold up much better than sand, which is what they used to use years ago.
So it matters who you get to repair these things. Tony Amico, owner of Amico Masonry. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
570-840-5248. Or you could email me. You could email me at amicomasonry@comcast.net.
Thank you, Tony, for 2 weeks of fabulous discussion. Pat, would you like to review a listing, please?
Yes. We have an updated 3-bedroom home at 117 Hill Street in Dunmore for $214,000. This lovely home sits on a 50 by 118 lot with plenty of off-street parking and a detached garage. The home has gorgeous hardwood floors on both the first and second floor. It has an open living space on the first floor, ductless air conditioning and a heat pump, tankless water heater, a newer roof, and updated electric. That's a lovely 3-bedroom home with a garage at 117 Hill Street in Dunmore for $214,000, and that's listed by Dan Callahan of our office.
We'll be back next Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m. with more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ready Real Estate and 94.3 The Talker.